Oh yeah, I've been doing that all my life. Two-sport athlete in high school, carried that over. Um, going through it for the first time last year is pretty hard to cope with, but now it's all become fairly easy, and I think I'm handling it pretty well.
I talked to Coach Shaver the other day. He said that you're in great football shape, but then
hmm
track that's a whole other thing, right?
Track is definitely a whole different beast. It's different, very different. I had an interview a couple days ago, and they came out and asked me which is harder, and I said I'll definitely take football practice over track any day. But in the end, it's very beneficial to me. Taking my track shape and bringing it over to football, my football bringing it over to track, and it's I think it's going to help me in both ways at the end of the day.
Coach
Does
said
your
those first. I'm sorry.
does your weight fluctuate with that, with the different type of training for each one? Do you have to balance that, your playing weight and your track
Most
weight?
most definitely. During the track season, I slimmed down a little bit. But thank God I'm not preparing to play anybody anytime soon. So I have the summer to get my weight back up. So I've actually dropped like 6 pounds. That's where they want me at for the track season. But I know for a fact when I get back in the weight room with Moffitt this summer, that's going to change drastically.
Coach said the first couple practices you might have thrown up close or.
On the track, my
Yeah.
first few days, I gave up everything I had. Most definitely.
So how do you practice for both this time of year?
So what we do is like every other day. So every other day I do a different practice. So yes, I did the first two spring practices, but this week I'll be doing track, and I actually have a track meet this Saturday.
Okay. And Coach said in the outdoor season that he really wants you to contribute, right?
Yeah, now I'm actually focusing. Last year I only did the 4x1. Ended up making it to nationals. Unfortunately, we dropped the stick. This year I actually get to focus on my individual races. I'll be running the Open 200.
Well, Coach says you were good in Texas, and if you're good in Texas, you're pretty good.
I mean, everything's great in Texas, so I agree with that.
I feel like this defense can pick up where it left off, particularly in the secondary, even though you lose a guy like Reedy.
Most definitely. We didn't have Greedy in the bowl game, so we've been practicing without him for a while. But as I've said, before going into this spring, these first two spring practices, man, this defense is very confident and comfortable. Just going into my third year, I haven't seen it like this at all. So that's why I said I'm very excited going into the season, just to watch us grow even more and become that defense that we've been working towards.
Are you working at safety a little bit too?
I'm actually working everywhere as I've been, since I got here. Nickel corner, and safety.
You put into words what Coach Aranda expects out of his defense, how hard it is to adjust to it.
Coach Aranda wants perfection from us, and that's what we go into practicing for every day, every week. At the beginning of every week, we have a team defensive meeting. He comes in, he lets us know what he wants from us, and we go out and we execute. And I feel like him doing that has created a standard for us, and I feel like that's a big part of the reason we are becoming who we are.
What does Corey Raymond mean to that room, the DBs? There was a bunch of speculation, this offseason maybe he was linked to other jobs, but to have him here and just his expertise, what does he mean to the group of guys that work with him every day?
And I can't explain a word can't define what Coach Raymond means to us. And in my role specifically is almost like a father figure. I lost my father this past December, but him coming in and getting me out of Port Arthur, Texas, and ever since then, and these guys, and seeing how much the guys that are here now and the guys that were here before me look up to him, and how much he means to them, and how much he means to us, that just says a lot.
Is there a difference in Joe from last year, this year, Burrow?
Man, well, we all knew Joe Burrow was a player when he first got here. He has that swagger about him that everybody knows about. He's still a leader. He's just carrying over his role from last year. Everybody's obviously progressing, so that's the only difference.
I think a lot of fans had that moment where they're like, man, that's my quarterback.
Right.
Is there a specific moment last year, regular season game? I can personally think of one, but one where you think, wow, that was my quarterback?
Most definitely. When he first got here, I didn't really look at Joe as a running quarterback, and I knew he had that swag. But once he broke out against Georgia, I was lost for words. I was like, man, all right, Joe. Since then, he's carried over, and I wouldn't want anybody else as my quarterback.
What about the UCF pop? What was now that you think about it, did he gain a whole new level of respect?
That just shows you how much of a dog he is, because I know guys that I've played with before, not here necessarily, but a lot of guys wouldn't get up from that. He got up from that, and he executed off of it. He got better off of it. So that just shows you the dog that Joe has in him.
Speaking of the bowl game, did you guys how did you get through that with the numbers you had on defense, or the lack of, I guess?
Like I said, that's why I felt like my track shape came in and, you know, it became benefit for me. You know, we relied on numbers, so, you know, it wasn't no substitutions for really anybody. So everybody just had to go, and we showed the difference that, you know, the SEC ball and what they playing over there.
Greedy moving on.
Last one.
Devin White moving on. We've got Grant kind of moving to the forefront of leading that defense. How do you think he's going to do in that role?
Grant hasn't always been the head leader, you know, being that we have guys like Devin there, but he's always been the leader in that aspect. And, you know, now it's just his time. And I know for a fact that he's going to do great as he's already done before. And I'm just grateful to be able to play with a guy like him.